Hello, everyone. Welcome in. Sorry there was a little delay because of the ads. Gotta deal with Twitch and all that. Anyways, thank you for joining me. How are we all doing tonight? Hopefully you can hear me. No, you can't hear me. Hello, everyone. Welcome in. Now you can actually hear me. Hi, I am Chef Jay Tay. Happy to see all of you. Welcome in. Now that we've dealt with ads, now that we've dealt with me not turning my microphone on, we can hang out. How are we all doing tonight? Thank you for all the check-ins early. We are officially 100% off of StreamerBot tonight. So I suspect many potential issues as the night goes on as far as things, overlays not working, yada yada. Just putting that out there. Do not say that dirty word in my chat. It's potato leek soup. Hello, Skeleton. Hello, Nan Reader. Hello, JK4T. Welcome in, Zahara. Happy to see you, Will Poker. The reason I say that is because as a young cook slash out on my externship, my saucier wasn't too with it, at least with that project that day. And we were forced to hand sieve and hand blend. I forget if it was 40 or 50 gallons of vichyssoise in order to make the daily soup that day for the resort. Actually, it was for the next day. You made the soup the day before. And then you moved it to all the different outlets. So yes, I consider that a swear word. Like, I just swore there. Like, there are no chives in this dinner tonight. Hello there, Alex. Welcome in. We also got a couple of pieces of salmon here that we're going to use for along with that packaging. But I just defrosted those. They're over here, making sure they're up closer to room temperature. And I didn't even have my Vitamix XL. I couldn't do a gallon and a half at a time. We had to do it. What is this, 750? What is this one? 1900 milliliters? Whoever wants to do math. Yeah, it's also going to be warm. It ain't nothing, but it still wasn't enough when you got... Like, that's not even a gallon. It's... You wouldn't want to do the math on the how many of those Vitamix containers it would take to do 40 or 50 gallons. I'm out of water. Boo. Yeah, that's why I hated it. That sounds... yeah. I never really understood that one with him and what really went on there that night. Like, he was there right with me doing this. Like, it wasn't like he was just putting it all on me to do. At the same time, like, he was sitting there complaining, like, his boat motors weren't, like, if anyone knows, you know, in Saucier and the giant containers, they have those... We have stick blenders, but they're like large commercial ones, and they, slang term, typically call them boat motors. And he was complaining about his boat motors not working that day. Like, he had like a half dozen of them or something, so I don't know what the deal was. Everyone with the streaks going. Everyone's going streaking. Thank you all for joining me tonight. Hopefully you've had a good start to your week. Happy Monday, everyone. Cheers. where do we start with dinner? My nose itches. I guess we start with taters. What do we got for stock in here? I don't think I got much of anything in stock in here. Oh, I got some veg stock. We'll use that. There has been, if you're relatively old school with your coffee, let's say, there's been quite a big development in decaf in the last years. If there's really been development in coffee, it's been in decaf. Because, they have to convince people to drink the stuff without the caffeine. Just being honest here. I like coffee. Coffee is decent. I like caffeine. I like something hot, too. So we'll melt that down. Let's get some taters out here and we'll chop up some taters. I'm always going to just find something local, but I don't know if it's maybe just me, but there's places here in Sonoma where they're doing cold process, locally made. I don't know how common that is to other coffee. My general rule is you want it roasted, and so you want it roasted relatively soon to when you've had it. There is science and people saying that it's better to have a slight age after the initial roast, but beyond that, you do want it to be freshly roasted. There's some to be said that you want it freshly roasted and roasted around you, but you don't want to take it straight from the roaster, is what I'm saying. In that, maybe want to give it a couple of days after you roast it for it to sort of settle. I don't know all the science behind this. There's science people with coffee. There's weird coffee people out there. You can join them. Thank ya. I always seem to forget after doing the toast, beginning of stream. Or cheers.
get all the issues sorted out with this getting rid of StreamerBot, those commands or controls could come back, maybe. My problem with it is there's just too many buttons. Anyone that's unfamiliar, I used to have I forget what they call them, the buttons down below where you can type. So you could change camera scenes. And I sort of got rid of that because of the hassle of updating it and keeping it functional with StreamerBot. But also I got rid of it because it was an extra 10 or 12 extra buttons there, getting away from hydrate and everything else that I have there. Hi, Soph. Just going to go ahead and drop these straight into the water as it cooks. Channel point redemptions. That's what they are. Couldn't remember them. Dough ball expenditures. A bag of defrosting or melting vegetable stock that has been around for quite a while. But it's still better than just water. Exactly, Alex. The streaming thingamabugger buttons. That was a little too much of a tongue twister for me to... Well, let's hope that worked. I am going to say channel point redemptions, overlays, everything's a little wonky tonight. Some things you just can't anticipate. You can't until you see, oh, that didn't link, or that didn't, or that caused that error, or yeah. Why did I not get my bench scraper out? I don't know. Hi, Muskeg. Overlays may be a bit wonky tonight, and things may not be properly recorded in that sense from the hot buttons, whatever the buttons are. Channel point redemptions. Do apologize for that, but technically Muskeg and they can see me just, cancel each other out there, so we're doing all right. Granted, enough water that those potatoes are covered. Not just the stock. If you got enough stock to cover them, more flavor better. I am mildly tempted to throw a stock cube in there too. I do have the beef bouillon cubes right over there. We'll rinse out in between the layers here, make sure we get all the dirt out there. No! It was not supposed to be this complicated to just cut through the thing. Bit of cooking oil in the pan over here. Bit of butter going in there too. Doing oil and butter for these. Hey, Sniper. Is the scramble not working either tonight? Why did that get broke? That was running 24/7. Sorry, Sniper, I don't think there's a scramble tonight because fair number of the bot stuff. Now, I've now got the bot running in a situation where connecting into it to deal with code and change it is going to use enough memory that it's going to destroy the system during a stream. Yeah, Sniper, what happened is I have gotten rid of StreamerBot entirely tonight. But at the same time, I don't think a lot of the things that should be working are working. I don't think that the bot is even recognizing that I am live under normals the way it's supposed to be. I think it's just detected Twitch saying that I'm live. I think it's just detected maybe YouTube saying I'm live. It's connected to OBS, but it's not really getting everything else but that. But prior to today, last stream even, all of the chat commands, well, a vast majority of the chat commands, the vast majority, all of the overlays, all of the, like, there's a fair number of stuff that's still working all right here. I'm pretty good with how things are happening tonight. There's a few things that are problems. Mostly to do with the channel points, and channel points with overlays. It's having trouble enabling and disabling overlays, obviously, and it's having troubles. I don't think that the API connection that I set up today for my Stream Deck. Is there enough things with Streamer in it for y'all to keep track of there? My Stream Deck is now going to be sending API posts directly to StreamerBot over my local network instead of Instead of StreamerBot handling it. Alright, I'm happy with those leaks. I'm going to cut the power on those. Go ahead and toss those in with this here in a moment. Just plopped all in there all at once. I'm lucky that it didn't really splash. I wanted to do so much more. Like, once we get past this headache, we've gotten past most of the headache of me splitting up the event manager. Though that still remains, and I sort of gave up on some of it, knowing that I was going to be doing the StreamerBot removal. And so now I sort of have to sit down and hunker down and diagnose both here during the stream break. But there's a bunch of other things I would like to add in. I'd like to add in some of the... I don't want to spam chat, but I do want to add a few of the traditional info messages that you'll see in some other streams in there on occasional timers. I do want to do automatic clip taking from the bot. And yeah, I'm barely scratched the surface with trying to get this PC, the streaming PC here, to be my future analysis system to go over past streams and through current ones and do captions, in-depth captions analysis with the actual processing power behind it, doing in-depth video analysis using Google, fun stuff like that. Ooh, we got another streaker chat. I mentioned it in the Discord, but I'm mentioning it here now. I have updated my calendar or roughly updated my calendar for most of the rest of the year. That involves not filling in all of the dates, or even really filling all of them in fully. But I have designated days throughout the rest of this next year to be Can It Be Delicious nights, which are in the calendar. I've also started a new theme setup for the stream starting on Sundays next month. Every Sunday we're going to do a different state or U.S. territory. U.S. territories that are at least like inhabited or have, like food history of some sort that I can talk about and work with. And then I'm going to do themed dinners on Sundays, just going alphabetically through all of them. And it's going to take over a year to do. I thought it was a fun way to change things up. I'm thinking of changing the weekly theme from being so heavy sprinkle-wise and have it just be a single stream. And that will mean it's likely on Mondays, like today. Because we got ingredient challenges on Wednesdays. And now we got states and territories on Sundays. Just leaves early Mondays and Fridays. Oh. Yeah, bot really is not functioning tonight. Is anyone reading that social media? Like, I haven't done much of it myself beyond posting it in the Discord the other day. People realize that they have now created a social media site for chatbots to talk to chatbots. No human talking involved. You're allowed to watch. But it's all chatbots talking to bots. I was debating if I should write a module for SprinkleBot to join in or not. Hey, Genre. We be cooking hot potato leek soup. Then I'm going to garnish with some sweet pepper. I'm going to roast some salmon. At least the dinner command's working. Small victories. Actually, dinner command working is a pretty big victory. Yeah, I've got a repeating error here from... I'm not sure from what. Let's see here. Where is it in? Oh, is it? Why is that doing that? That's not even to do with the... I can see the log on the bot at least recently, and oh, there we go. We can show all the errors there. Not sure what's going on there. Something to do with captions. So let's prep our salmon now. This is warehouse salmon. Warehouse Club salmon. I was talking about this before. The price points, they make it almost like I really should just buy a half of salmon, you know, for $20. I decided to try out the frozen version price-wise. It was actually slightly more to buy them frozen like this, but it means that I'm not buying a half side of salmon. It is wild-caught Alaskan, if you consider that fancy. At least it's not cheaply fed farmed. Which is another way hands can get in there, if anyone remembers me talking about hands last stream. You can have fish that just eat things they like, or you can have them trapped in nets and fed chicken meal. But it's sustainable. We're using up the feathers and bones of chickens that we don't have other uses for to feed salmon. Am I stealing info from a TED Talk? Yeah. Just passing it along. What are you passing along? I'm not passing along if I don't know what you passed. Alright, what should we do with this salmon tonight? What we got back here? Oh, I'm just yeah. We'll call it that. Doing a bit of rice wine vinegar. And apple cider vinegar. With a bit of the mother in there. Those are those little floaty bits. Lemon. And soy. Get the pan with the roasting rack out, but I'm going to put a parchment on the roasting rack. Actually, we're going to move you off the counter for the moment so that I can do this. Yeah, we'll do this on the cutting board and we can transfer them. They move easy enough that way. Mix this up with the brush. Making sure I get it down in the crack. Not that crack. Onion powder. Need to start heating our oven. Light touch of cayenne. no to salt because we got the soy. But we will do MSG. And pepper. Regret that last half grind that came out pretty heavy at the very last moment there. Alright, now these are going to go over onto pan, roasting pan, ugly, disgusting roasting pan. We can clean up this board. We can clean up this knife. Going back to talking about the theme over on the pad. Going back talking about the themes in the states. I'm sort of curious how it will work out. If people will be more interested in seeing only certain states, or like I question how many are going to show up just for the North Dakota stream. It's been a minute since I had... That's on the list, too. I want those back, too. That's something the bot can do. It's reading captions. I mean, I talked earlier about the fact that I'm like maxing out my memory use on this little Raspberry Pi. At the same time, the number of programs and things that I've consolidated off of this system onto that little Raspberry Pi is rather ridiculous. Ooh, we had someone join in on Discord. Welcome, Frankie. I'll give you a welcome a little bit later in Discord. So now might be a good time to, perhaps call this vote for root beer. It's Wednesday, we be doing root beer. Can also add some MSG and pepper and salt in with this. I'm probably going to have to add more water to the soup, by the way. I do realize that, chat. Once we puree these potatoes, they're going to sort of soak up even more liquid, or they're at least going to take up more liquid because you're increasing surface area quite a bit. Now the question is, what kind of root beer will I be using? I do have to lean towards A&W. Though their bottled stuff is not all that wonderful. I believe for the most part, all of them are Coca-Cola. That or Snapple Dr. Pepper. Refilling the pepper grinder. Oh, hello Raiders. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Hello there, Dana's Kitchen. Thank you for the raid. How we all doing tonight? I do apologize. I'm having some issues with my overlays. I've done some pretty extensive changes to my system in the last 24 hours. Welcome in, everyone. I guess this means that Michael did pretty well. How we all doing? I'm gonna go add some more pepper to this soup over here. Wrong side. That side. There we go. Oh, let's add some decent pepper in there already. Won't we add some MSG and salt in there too? For those of you just joining in, hello, I'm Chef Jay Tay. We're working on 2 dishes tonight. I'm preheating my oven right now to 400 degrees, and I'm going to be roasting some fillets of salmon. And in the pot right here, we've got a whole bunch of yellow potatoes, along with some stock, some leeks that I've cooked down. And this is all going to get pureed here shortly. Hopefully you've all had a wonderful evening. Got peppers here for garnishing. Hello, Anastasia. Adressa. Andressa? I like potatoes and leek soup, but we sort of covered my thoughts on certain potato soups at the beginning of stream. I don't love all potato leek soups. I do like warm ones, and I do like ones made with my own stock. They're good stuff. I already brushed the salmon that we have here with a couple of types of vinegar and some lemon juice and some soy, and then we seasoned them with a little bit of onion pepper, salt and pepper, or pepper and MSG. No salt because there's soy in there. Once we get the oven up there, we'll get those going in there. I just noticed that message, JK. A&W's out of the inexpensive ones. Oh, we have expensive root beers in comparison to A&W. Do we need a tier list on expensive root beers? For those just joining in with the raid, I don't know if this hit before or during our talking about it. My ingredient challenge for Wednesday is going to be root beer. And so I'm going to be making dinner and dessert, so savory and sweet dishes using root beer as an ingredient. What are the premium tier root, like, I know there's IBC, but that's sort of like mostly just because they're selling it in glass. I don't really think of it as a premium root beer. Sorry, IBC fans. It's the Mexican Coke of root beers. Potatoes look like they're starting to get there. The Grizzly Paw Brewing Company. Don't believe I have heard of them. Maybe a local brand? Barks, I'm familiar with Barks. I will say, the best way to have root beer is in a frosted mug, though. Like, there's at least once in your life, you may not love that icy root beer stuck to the sides of your glass experience, but I truly think it's amazing. Welcome, El Capitan. Wow. Hello, El Capitano. The way I say that they're starting to get there is if you look at the edges, and it's sort of hard to see in the camera, but they sort of become almost mealy, and the look of them changes as it gets closer to being, and as the potato sort of starts to break down between agitation and heat. I'm sad that many people probably don't get that experience anymore, because I realize that A&W doesn't really do that anymore. Like, imagine the idea of having glass mugs around a fast food joint in modern day. They had them there when I was a kid. They do so? I haven't seen them in ages. It must be in the good part of town. I laugh knowing the location of some A&Ws in this world. Ooh, did I press the button today? I did. Good. Good, Jason. Oh, that's a big battle for a lot of fast food places to get the elderly crowd. A lot of them play games with their coffee prices and be loss leaders with their coffee in order to get people like that in the door. Because they come back every day. And then they go in places like, and I see them at farmers markets as far as my business trying to sell coffee, where I'm physically transporting the water to make the coffee with me to the market, and then making it in the middle of a park. And they're like, well, why can't you serve it for the price that they serve it at Jack in the Box at 44 cents a cup or something like that? And it'll be a price that's lower than I can buy the coffee that I was using to make it with. That's a real story if you weren't that happened. That occurs. I don't love that the skin is on these cutlets. I didn't check. I didn't look if there were ones that had been skinned or not. But I got ones that weren't skinned. I've never been a big fan of fish skin. There's people that tell me they love it all the time in chat and other places, and I'm just like, no, it never turns out well. It's always, ugh. Give me some chicharrones instead. Some skin that actually fries. I'm gonna move the glass out of the way here. We're gonna get the small blender out of the way. We're gonna get the big boy out. Oh, you didn't. Why do you always want to focus on your other camera? You don't even sell that one anymore. So you've got the standard Vitamix blender that most people have. The same size, whether you have the triangle shaped one or not. Here's a square or a triangle. And then you've got this one. Adding 2 cups of water to this mix of soup. But doing so in the blender. And start by spooning some of this potato in there so that it doesn't spill everywhere. And I immediately spill doing that, but at least it's not serious. Now let's get the rest of that in there. It's like, what did I do with the spoon? I just hid it from myself on the other side of this massive blender. So like, you see me cooking this quite a bit. You probably have some idea of that size. It doesn't even, that's like half full. And we're gonna mute for the blend and see if that overlay works. Nope, that didn't work at all. Nope. I guess we're muting by hand. We got some potato soup. And we're going to pass this through a sieve, but not a fine mesh. Just a rough one, make sure we get any big stuff out. You can see the straining is mostly pulling out some leftover skin there. And turn the heat back on here and warm this back up. Warm this up with the rest of that water we just added to that with blending it. And what did we do with my... It's not in here, is it? Nope. I didn't put it over here. Ah, it's in the sink. Need a ladle for later, so we'll clean up this ladle for serving in a bit. We were talking about eating pretty cheaply last stream with the beans and onion soup, which was absolutely delicious, and really only the brioche and the cheese was really making a more expensive meal. You can say the same thing about this. Like, potatoes and leeks are not going to break the bank. And stock cube or bouillon cube, in this case, it's going to be the salmon that's going to break the bank as far as making an expensive dinner. This is not cheap either, but it's not a ton of it. By the way, hello, Mustak. And when it does get pureed like this, if it's thick enough, it will stick to the bottom. So you do want to make sure that this is moving around a little bit. You're not letting it seal to the bottom of the pan. Let's go ahead and throw our salmon in the oven. Oven's at 400 degrees. Throw them in the back there. A great candidate for using an air fryer if you got one. Definitely a dinner that could be done with an air fryer and a pot. Like, I did the leeks separate from the potatoes, but you could have cooked the leeks in there and then added the potatoes in the water. Or the stock or broth or whatever you're using. So we all having a good start to our weeks? Ewan, got anything amazing going on right now? Hopefully everyone's doing well. My eyebrow itches. I don't know if anyone... I've been scratching my eyebrow like all stream tonight. I don't know why, but my eyebrow itches. Not like end of the world itching. Not like it's seriously it's just enough that I'm sort of subconsciously scratching my eyebrow every 30 seconds or so. Thank you for the follow, Little Burger. Do apologize, my overlays are on the Fritz tonight. Several things have been Drink water. I have no idea if that's a dehydration thing, but that just immediately, like, yeah, drink some water. It might be a dehydration thing. Not a doctor. Ooh, bubbling. We're bubbling. Which means I think we're fine there now. We can cut the heat on that and let that hang out. That much soup isn't going to reduce temp too quickly. And we definitely should have set a timer here for our salmon, so I knew when to check it again. It's probably going to take roughly 20 minutes to do at a 400 degree oven. I'm going to check it here in a little over 15 minutes. I add 15 to the timer, so whatever time between me throwing it in the oven and starting the timer plus 15. You know, I knew the U.S. had a whole bunch of different territories. I did not realize how many of these territories were just islands in the middle of nowhere with nothing of, not even really strategic value to them anymore. Some of them have strategic value, but like so many of them are just like middle of nowhere island that we picked up in the guano days and have just held on to. That's a disturbing way to start a question. If you wanted to cook this, there is no link. Tonight's dinner is entirely off of past history that I don't know where I got it from. No, I've been doing potato soup for quite a while. And the salmon I've done several times on stream, and I'm just sort of ballparking the cook temps. I came up with the stuff I'm putting on there by hand. I am recording all of this, and I started recording all of this because I didn't want to record down the paperwork. I didn't want to write down recipes. I didn't want to say, this is what I did. And I knew AI was coming, but I didn't know if it was actually going to be as good as it is at this point. And it's going to be even better once I actually set up actual analysis of all that past video. I do have on my website on chefjaytay.com a past archive, and there are some streams that have recipes. The recipes are not all that great so far, and I sort of stopped doing the recipes and focusing on other things because I want to set up, I touched on this earlier, the streaming PC I want to turn into off hours into like a heavy duty analysis machine that's running LLMs locally and using APIs to analyze past streams, past videos, and write recipes off of those videos directly from what's in those videos. And I've sort of done that a little bit. The ones that are on the website are 100% feeding in captions and information that I have from the stream and metadata and all of that into an LLM, and it sort of guesses at this point. The ones that I want to do are much better than that. Much better? It doesn't make sense either, but anyways. Grammar. Like, I record all my streams that I've done, so not only I have but I do a second recording. I use a program a protocol called NDI. Most streamers that use NDI use it for, like, playing a game without a separate computer to stream with and things like that. I'm using it to send 4 different camera feeds and all of my audio over to my normal entertainment / everything PC in the back room, where it's recording a second OBS feed that's more like a security camera with 4 different videos. It's got the overview, it's got the cutting board, it's got the stove, and it's got this scene sort of in like a security camera setup with the 4 quadrants and audio all on separate channels so that can isolate this microphone from that microphone depending on what was recorded. And that's what I hope to do future things off of, and not just the stream, which is what most everything is currently based on. Because I'm sure that AI is going to have a much easier time with, okay, these are these same 4 cameras, they're always going to be those same 4 cameras instead of me changing scenes here every 5 minutes. Been working on ML on this PC. Part of that is working on machine learning for this PC to tell which ones are in which scenes visually rather than just relying off of the scene and stealing the information from OBS. And so I've been going through, I've done over 400 now, but I got to do a lot more, and I'm going to have to do even more than that later. Just screenshots from past streams saying, yeah, this is that scene, this has this many cameras, those are the cameras, that's the sound that's on there. And so that it slowly learns and can identify, okay, that's that scene, that's the intro scene, that's... Without going to spend money with Google or Anthropic or OpenAI. That is looking like some good tater soup there. I should taste that for salt. More salt. Not to say that I don't follow recipes. I very much do follow recipes at times. Vast majority of the time I'm skimming recipes. Vast majority of the time I'm not actually following what the actual recipe is, but I'm looking up a few like ratios or time and temperature or guidelines or... very rarely do I sit here and be like, okay, this is next step in folding bread. And then that's the next step, and then... But I might have it up here on screen. That's... And that really is a big one. Like, you'll see I do it with, like, bags and stuff, too. Where I'll look up the ratio on something and I'll just write it on the bag. So I don't have to look up the ratios again. Same thing with the recipes. A lot of it is ratios, like how much water do I add to this? I spent a fair amount of time reading books and things like that that associate things together too. Like, go over here to my bookshelf and there's two of them that I'm looking for here. There's one. Come on, where's all my Michael Ruhlman stuff? That's not it, is it? No. I can't find one of them, and I don't want to set off my smoke alarm here. One of these is a flavor matrix, which... has a lovely, like, visual, you know, these are the things and how they go with asparagus and And I much more appreciate that sort of a thing. I like ratios and percentages to me make a lot more sense than even weighted. I'm not going to open my bedroom door again, but they make more sense than even like weighed measures or volumetric measuring. It is a pretty book. But the other one that I was going to recommend was Ratio by Michael Ruhlman. Michael Ruhlman is a big name in the food book world. He has written many books. He was the ghostwriter, or I don't know if he's actual writer or not, but he wrote the French Laundry books, the Bouchon book. He's written, he's worked with Bourdain on a fair number of stuff, and he's got some good books on his own name. But the one I'm going to recommend to people is Ratio, because it's ratios, it's cooking ratios, it's got another 2 minutes here until our first check on the salmon. It's probably going to take a couple minutes past that. Haven't been following Ruhlman as much lately. He's been doing a lot more cocktails and stuff like that, which I like finding cocktails and all sorts of stuff they're doing in the cocktail world, but so much of the stuff they're doing in cocktail world today is like, we're doing 30 steps for one drink that really only makes sense in an extreme high fine dining bar. And I just can't do, I can't, like, even with the liquor that I have here, like, I don't have even the beginnings of the syrups and the infusions and all the stuff that they use. I have a fair number of tools, too. I don't have nearly the tools that bartenders have these days. So while it's interesting to me, I've slightly glossed over his recent stuff. Yeah, that salmon's good for me. I think we're good with that. Those are looking nicely cooked. We got the protein squirting out. Got some nice color on them. All right, so we'll start with the bowl. Bit of freeze-dried thyme. Peppers. Mostly just going in there with the peppers for color, but they are going to definitely flavor things up a bit. I like keeping my potato soups pretty simple, but you could also jazz potato soup up with more acids or something along that line. I left that more for the salmon myself. Let's get a spatula dirty for this. And layer our salmon right on top. And hope it doesn't completely sink. Where's my phone? Where is my phone? Not there, not there. Not where it normally is this time of night. Not there. Let's check the bedroom. Oh no, where's my phone? I know it's not lost, it's just lost as to I don't know where it's at right now. As the salmon sinks. Oh my, let's do this. What are you doing over here? Why that phone was all the way over there in my bedroom. Like it was on top of us. Yeah. No idea it was why it was where it was. Hopefully I don't get DMCA'd by playing that song either. I have a song that potentially could get DMCA'd as my ringtone. Do you still change your ringtone, chat? Do you use like one of the default ones, or you still use like songs? Like, that was such a huge thing back in the day. I feel like that's fallen off. Then again, music's sort of fallen off, too. Well, let's see here. Oh, maybe you'd like to see this a little up closer up as we make the salmon sink further. As the salmon sinks, I forget the rest of the Days of Our Lives themed entrance thing. That said, I probably watched maybe 1 or 2 days or whatever I saw at my grandmother's house when I was a kid. Yeah, my one grandma was pretty big into the soaps. Yeah, I don't know if I should. I think I've said this before on stream before. I sort of view streaming as the modern soap opera. Because soap operas were really that sort of, they'd turn them on and leave them on all afternoon while they're doing stuff around the house sort of a thing. For the 30 seconds of drama that they were actually interested in the day. And I feel like that's pretty much the exact same thing as streaming. Like, you hang out, you watch, you're most likely doing other stuff. But you're there for that little, key moment. That said, there's different types of streaming too. There's people that are just constant, especially the kids streamers, the ones that got the kid audience. They're just constant. I cannot wind myself up the way some of those people do. Oh. I was watching one earlier this morning that just every 4 seconds you got something new coming out of his mouth just because he's keeping things rolling. Takes 40 minutes to open up the game he was going to play, but he's still there every 3-4 seconds. Oh my god! Alright, folks, I do think this is where we're going to leave things this fine evening. The salmon's looking good. The soup is delicious. Especially now that I have properly salted it ahead of serving it. It is sort of falling down in the soup, but I did purposely not fill that bowl up with soup so that it wouldn't sink. Let's take a look, see who's online tonight. Why don't we go hang out with another food and drink streamer tonight? I rarely see this gentleman on this late in the evening. I have no idea if he's doing just chatting with food, with chat. If he's doing food tonight, if he's doing some sort of game or something. But I think he does a pretty good stream, and I hope you enjoy hanging out with him. No, I gotta actually set up the stream that I just hyped.
There we go. I'm gonna send you lovely folks off to go hang out with Cheers Please, who looks like he's doing a talking stream. But I hope you enjoy hanging out with him. He does some great food on stream too. I will be back here on Wednesday. We're gonna be doing root beer on Wednesday. We've got chicken Alfredo with broccoli on Friday. And Sunday we're gonna be doing Super Bowl stuff. I've come up with a plan for Sunday. It's in the menu. I'm going to make you look it up if you want to know what it is. Have a great night, everyone. I hope to see you back soon. Good night.